Brought to you by Penguin.
The Invisible Doctrine, The Secret History of Neoliberalism, and How It Came to Control Your Life. Written by me, George Monbiot, and Peter Hutchison. Read by me, George Monbiot. Chapter 1. The Anonymous Ideology. Imagine that the people of the Soviet Union had never heard of communism. That's more or less where we find ourselves today. The dominant ideology of our times that affects nearly every aspect of our lives, for most of us, has no name. If you mention it, people are likely either to tune out or to respond with a bewildered shrug. What do you mean? What's that? Even those who have heard the word struggle to define it. Its anonymity is both a symptom and a cause of its power. It has caused or contributed to most of the crises that now confront us: rising inequality, rampant child poverty, epidemic diseases of despair, offshoring and erosion of the tax base, the slow degradation of healthcare, education and other public services, the crumbling of infrastructure, democratic backsliding, the 2008 financial crash, the rise of modern-day demagogues such as Viktor Orban, Narendra Modi, Donald Trump, Boris Johnson and Jair Bolsonaro, our ecological crises and environmental disasters. We respond to these predicaments as if they occur in isolation. Crisis after crisis unfolds, yet we fail to understand their common roots. We fail to recognize that all these disasters either arise from or are exacerbated by the same coherent ideology, an ideology that has, or at least had, a name. Neoliberalism. Do you know what it is? So pervasive has neoliberalism become that we no longer even recognize it as an ideology. We see it as a kind of natural law like Darwinian selection, thermodynamics, or even gravity, an immutable fact, a non-negotiable reality. What greater power can there be than to operate namelessly? But neoliberalism is neither inevitable nor immutable. On the contrary, it was conceived and fostered as a deliberate means of changing the nature of power. Chapter 2. The Free Market. What is neoliberalism? It's an ideology whose central belief is that competition is the defining feature of humankind. It tells us we are greedy and selfish, but that greed and selfishness light the path to social improvement, generating the wealth that will eventually enrich us all. It casts us as consumers rather than citizens. It seeks to persuade us that our well-being is best realized not through political choice, but through economic choice, specifically buying and selling. It promises us that by buying and selling, we can discover a natural meritocratic hierarchy of winners and losers. The market, it contends, will, if left to its own devices, determine who deserves to succeed and who does not. The talented and hard-working will prevail, whereas the feckless, weak and incompetent will fail. The wealth the winners generate will trickle down to enrich the rest. By contrast, neoliberals argue that an active state seeking to change social outcomes through public spending and social programs rewards failure, fuels dependency, and subsidizes the losers. It creates an unenterprising society run by bureaucrats who stifle innovation and discourage risk-taking, to the impoverishment of us all. Any attempt to interfere with the market's allocation of rewards, to redistribute wealth and improve the condition of the poor through political action, impedes the emergence of the natural order, in which enterprise and creativity are rightly rewarded. At the same time, neoliberals contend that government intervention and bureaucratic control will inevitably lead to tyranny, as the state gains ever more power to decide how we should live. The role...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?